but let's see what they have to say about it. I can't believe this. Is that third? What are the chances? It's Joel again.
Well, in some ways it seems to be an obvious thing to be standing up to say, but I would naturally resist any attempt to develop further in the Green Belt. This in some ways goes to the heart of what I was trying to introduce at the beginning. It's a question of how we approach the growth of the city and how where we put our boundaries. If we continue to see growth as the primary framework through which we make our decisions, then we will see the Green Belt, amongst other things, gradually being chipped away at. We need an overall principle, a starting point that sets a boundary around these things. And the Green Belt is a very physical boundary. We need to protect it. We need to protect it for the number of species that are living there. We need to protect it as a place for the city residents to go to, for leisure purposes. And we need to respect a relationship that the city has with the countryside around. We need to understand that the city can't just keep on growing outwards at its borders, but needs to start supporting villages and other settlements outside within the wider community, within the wider Cambridgeshire. Cambridge is a city centre of a wider area, and it's important to play a part in nurturing that relationship between Cambridge and its wider constituency. The Green Belt needs to be defended and resisted, and certainly as a councillor I would take that as a primary position to campaign for.
Regarding the Green Belt, as many of you know, the removal of GB1 and GB2 from the Green Belt was vehemently opposed by local residents, and I think we had over 2,000 residents, 2,000 petition against the removal, but unfortunately that bit is done and dusted. Now local residents in the Greenbelt area, they have many concern, and some of the factors are loss of valuable biodiversity to the disruption of traffic, as well as the park and ride bus issues. Now 900 new dwellings are coming up in the Bellland at Red Cross, and more buildings for research in Edinburgh site. The roads are most of the days blocked anyway, and it's becoming difficulties for the ambulances to reach the hospital. And now there is a new threat to the land in the south of Biomedical Campus, where the Nine Wells Nature Reserve is there. And I believe that we need, there is absolutely no credible plans to regulate the traffic movements, and planners are not taking into account the ecological impact of those special sites. And as you know, GOGs are the important demarcation of the town and the country. So I think we need to take care of the Green Belt, and we should stick to the planning. And that's what I can say about Green Belt.
I don't like the idea of building on the Green Belt at all. I agree that we do need our green areas around us, but also we need houses for people to live in. The biomedical campus is growing. We're going to have Pappers up the hospital. And if these people don't have houses close by, that means they've got to drive in and park, which is already a really, really big problem. So if we don't infringe onto these green belts, even just a little bit, we're going to have a bigger problem with congestion and with parking. So if we could build on there and just get them closer to the work, then they can walk in, bus in, bike in, anything like that. So even though I don't like the idea of us building on green belts, I think we need to turn around and think maybe there's no other option.
Many of you will know that I put my neck out a few years ago with the local party over the Warts Causeway development. Greenbelt is a very specific legal term. Effectively, it's the donut around Cambridge, and Warts Causeway is part of that donut. There are only 14 greenbelts in the whole country. The nearest to us, I think, is Oxford and then London. And greenbelt isn't necessarily any field with a cow on it. It is a specific legal definition. So, if we're not going to build on Warts Causeway, and we're going to keep affordable housing and sustain the local plan, we have to realise that we're going to have to ask some part of South Cambridge to build those extra houses. So we're going to need a lot of public relations with our friends in South Cambridgeshire. I'm a strong believer in the Green Belt because I think it's in the interests not only of Cambridge but of England and the whole country that we keep Cambridge as a heritage city. So we have a problem, but it's going to, apparently the Warts Causeway development is up before the commissioners, I believe, next March, so it hasn't been decided yet. There are lots of local people far more knowledgeable than I who will be putting forward complaints and objections to that, so I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Thank you very much. Another thought.
Okay, the city deal. And I'll answer your question about the trains as well. We're still in the planning process. We haven't even got the money ready to get the station going, but we do know where we want the station to go, and it is hopefully going to bring people into Addenbrooks. And I suppose we have to have a conversation with Addenbrooks about how to get them from the station to their places where they need to be, especially if they're patients. They're not going to be able to walk far. I mean, it is quite a far away from the hospital, so they have a shuttle bus going around there now. Perhaps that could be extended to the station. It doesn't have to be a big station like the Cambridge station. It can just be a little stop-off point, and we're going to have to think again about whether they're going to have lifts in there, because there's going to be disabled people coming and going. But it's also going to bring people, bring the patients in, and it'll also bring in the workers. A few years ago, I had to have a quite serious operation on my head, and I had menias, and they destroyed the balance nerve in there. Now I had to go for an appointment to the neurology, and my appointment was 4:30, and I got in there at 10:07. Now that was fine because I lived up the road, but the poor people in front of me actually lived in Clacton, and in those days they didn't have where you didn't have subsidised parking. They had to pay the whole day's parking. It cost them a lot of money. So in that case, the train would have been a really good thing to be able to get on, to come there, get your appointment and go home without having to pay this huge parking issue. With the city deal, there are some places in the city where parking isn't an issue, so why are they going to be throwing money at these places when it isn't an issue, but there are other places there are? So I think it needs to be looked at a bit more in depth, so it's not a blanket thing across the city for the parking. And also this 20-mile-an-hour thing, it's all a bit wish-washy, isn't it? Because you've got it 20 miles an hour at Cherryington Road, but Queenie this way is 30, which is the road coming down to schools. So, I think it's got to be a bit more planned. It doesn't seem to be working very well at the moment.
Thank you. Manus.
I think, you mentioned the train station. I would like to talk a little bit about it. I think the money from City Deal can be utilized to bring up the train station in Biomedical Campus site. I already had some initial discussion with the people responsible for that project from County Council side, as well as from the Edinburgh Trust Management side. What I understand is currently it is in the feasibility process. They're trying to establish the possibility of having a train station in the biomedical campus site. There is a private company who is involved, John Lang. They are heavily involved in the biomedical campus site, and they have built some privately funded train station in the past elsewhere in the country. Now, currently what I understand, they are doing the technical and commercial feasibility to understand if at all it is possible to have a train station on the current two-track layout without without causing any disruption and delays to the current services. Now, obviously, it has to be agreed by Network Rail and DFT. Once it's done, possibly, there will be requirement for more tracks, and under the new bridges, we have the space left for 2 more tracks. And I think City Deal can be wonderful to be utilized for that. And also, it will definitely reduce the traffic congestion we are talking about in the world. And thank you very much.
Thank you. John?
Obviously I support the City Deal because the leader of the council is actually chairing it at the moment, chairing the City Deal Executive Committee at the moment. Regarding consultation, I've talked to him about this, and he's very happy that consultation processes are built into the workings of the City Deal. I think all parties are supporting the station at Addenbrooks, which, as has been said, will be brought in hopefully on a PFI deal. North Cambridge Station, as you know, is going ahead. There are problems, mainly in the Milton Road area, involving cherry trees with the City Deal. And I think that sort of emphasises the great difficulty of, if you like, turning what was a market town when I came to Cambridge into a fairly modern industrial hub. And obviously there are very eggshell-like negotiations going on in that area at the moment. The parking situation, I gather, is going to be open to local consultations, which have started already. I think the issue for Queen Edith is whether we want to continue to be used as a car park, or do we want to make it very expensive for people to come and park in Queen Edith. And that's one, I guess, we'll be dealing with during the consultations. And finally, the 20 mile an hour limit. I agree, it is rather anomalous. We've avoided party politics so far tonight, so I'll continue to avoid them. But I agree there is an issue around coming off Cherry Hinton Road at 20 miles an hour and almost being instructed when you go up to Blinker Grove to travel at 30 when there is a school just up the road. Maybe we should have had a 20 mile per hour limit around that school rather long time ago. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Joel?
Thank you. I think the main thing that worries me about the City Deal as it stands at the moment is a worry around the sort of piecemeal approach to finding solutions and offering ideas. As has been mentioned, all the parties will support the development of a train station if that's to improve travel in and out of the ward. We'll all have our singular ideas about improving parking and improving buses. What worries me is that there isn't the overall view, the overall vision of how to manage this. And the Green Party stands for a greener city deal. That's how it puts it, a greener city deal. It sets certain principles to establish the criteria by which such a big package as the city deal can be achieved. It creates a certain set of measurements and ideas and visions that bring it into a coherent whole. It means that we would be campaigning and looking to establish a coherent network of cycle routes, of segregated cycle routes, so that cycling isn't broken up into different places, that we don't have these discrepancies between one road and another. It is about having an entire vision in which everything is connected. Park and Ride has suffered and needs to be revisited to be able to be a better service. The slow introduction and fair introduction of a congestion charge to reduce the amount of traffic coming into Cambridge, into the city centre, is essential. And with a long-term view of transitioning towards electric transport in the public services. These are all ideas that can be mooted, but unless they are understood within a coherent framework, then we are likely to see compromises made. We have to have a clear, purposeful vision for achieving a greener city deal.
Thank you very much.